All right, today I got Scott with me from our support team. Scott and I are going to chit-chat a little bit about some of the best practices for turning on the optimizer. So when we import your data or we import your campaigns, we don't start optimizing right away. You actually have to turn on the optimizer for the campaign before it starts automating that campaign. And we're going to kind of go over some best practices for that. So Scott, why don't you start us out with one of them? What's one of the best practices you would do as a seller when turning on the optimizer? Where would you start?
Yeah, great question, Chris. So, as a seller, when first turning on the optimizer, initially I would just go ahead and set that target ACoS percentage, currently what the campaign is running at over the past 30 days. So let's say over the past 30 days, our campaign's running at a 35%. I would set that target ACoS percentage probably around a 35% mark. And the reason being is, even if we set it at what it's currently running at, the optimizer will still lower the bids on the poor performing keywords, and it will raise the bids on the better performing keywords. So it's still going to be optimizing our campaign, even if we're just setting that ACoS percentage target about what the campaign is currently running at.
What would happen if I set it lower, like at 10? What would happen?
Yeah, if we, set it significantly lower than what it's currently running at, then what's likely going to happen is the software will go ahead and decrease those bids to the point to where we could possibly lose sales. So obviously, there's a correlation between PPC sales and organic sales, and the risk of setting it too low is that we, start losing that ranking and possibly, lose our positioning on Amazon's pages.
Okay, so if I set it at 35, when should I lower it again to 30 and 30 or 25 and 20? Like, do I do that slowly or like once a month? What's that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it really just depends, obviously, on the niche and what niches you're at. But I would say gradually. If I had to give you a time frame, maybe every 2 weeks, just go ahead and start gradually lowering it by 5%.
Okay, so I'll log in and it'll be 35 when I first start. Then 2 weeks later, I can come in. If it starts to make adjustments and I can see it dipping down a little bit, I can lower it to 30. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say that I'm in a really aggressive niche, like really competitive, and my current ACoS is 35, but I'm willing to go higher. What would you recommend there? Like, I'm willing to spend a lot of money to get ranking. Where would I set my target at for that?
Yeah, great question. So if the main purpose is just ranking your products and I want to get on the first page, then yeah, go ahead and set that ACoS target really high, maybe even 100% ACoS target, because we just, our main purpose is not necessarily to make that profit. Our main purpose is to gain that ranking to get those organic sales on the first page. So yeah, go ahead, set that ACoS percentage target really high if that's your main purpose is to rank.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Just because you set it at 100%, doesn't mean the campaign is going to get at 100%. Exactly. It's just telling the optimizer, hey, my target is 100. So all the keywords in that campaign, raise them up until they get to 100% ACoS. It doesn't mean you're going to get there. It's just going to mean that your bids are going to continue to go up. So if you're trying to rank with a really good keyword and you got a good listing already, it's going to tell the tool to continue to increase your bids. If you lose placement, so you get more traffic, it's going to bring more organic sales to you, and you're going to start to rank higher and higher and higher. So that's a huge thing, and I'm with you. I see that a lot is where sellers will come in and they're trying to increase their sales, but they'll set that target too low, and that's just not the right thing to do. You want to set it high, and you may want to set it higher that like makes you feel uncomfortable. Like I've seen some that have like 200% target ACoS. So it just kind of depends on what your niche is.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you. It's always good to err on the side of setting the ACoS target a little bit higher, just because it gives us some more room to kind of play with, and then just gradually lower that ACoS percentage from there. But yeah, you make a really great point. Setting that ACoS percentage high in the beginning doesn't even mean we're going to reach that 100% ACoS percentage. It just means we're going to be raising our bids and being really aggressive on our campaigns. And we can always lower it later. We don't have to keep it at that 100% forever. We could always come back once we start ranking organically. We can begin to kind of lower that ACoS percentage over time.
What if I have a campaign that's 10 keywords in it, but there's one keyword that takes all the spend, it takes all the budget, and I want to rank high for it,
Yeah.
But it's taken all the budget. What would you do with that one individual keyword?
Yeah, if it's just that one individual keyword, it's taking up all the budget, I would consider just separating that out into a separate campaign. So that way we can focus the budget for that one keyword. And then if we want to, we can set the ACoS percentage target really high for that one campaign, for that one keyword. So those ranking terms, we can kind of separate those out, and everything else we can optimize to the ACoS target that we want to go ahead and optimize for.
I think that's super powerful right there. If you didn't hear that, go back and watch that again. What Scott's saying is basically if you have a really high search keyword that you want to go after, put that in its own campaign, set the target real high, your bids will continue to go up. And then the other campaign, you can kind of bring that target ACoS down a little bit more because it's not so much of a search volume keywords that you're going after. Let those kind of just optimize themselves, but you're still going heavy after your big one. I love that. I love that.
Exactly. And yeah, Chris, one last thing I kind of want to bring up with you too is that a lot of times too we'll get people with thousands, hundreds of keywords within a campaign, and then they'll come in and turn on the optimizer, and the software will go ahead and test on all of those individual keywords. Specifically, if those keywords don't have any history to them or anything like that, a lot of spend could happen really quickly. So you just got to be careful when you turn on the software. If you do have thousands of keywords within a campaign, maybe you want to go ahead and cut some of those keywords back so that the software can just test on some of your best keywords instead of just a lot of random keywords that are not relevant to your product.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of splitting up your keywords into different campaigns based off the search volume. So if you've done your keyword research right, you'll know like your top 10 keywords that get the most searches, the medium size, and then the lower end size. I would split those up in 3 different campaigns, do exact match on those campaigns. And that way, if your budget's only $100, you're going to allow that $100 to be given to all those keywords. And if you put them all in one campaign, it's not going to work out right. You're not going to give those other keywords a chance to even get some sales because your top ones are going to spend all the money. So separate them out by search volume, I think is a great idea.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. That's a great way to separate those out.
Cool. Well, there's just a few things about the best practices for the optimizer. Inside your Sellozo account, there's a support tab. You'll be able to see all of these videos in there. There's also a way you can contact support. So if you do have a general question, simply just contact support team. There's also video tutorials, knowledge base, more and more stuff's coming out. So be sure to check that. It's in your support tab. You'll be able to see that there. Scott, appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.